That is a really quite nice sharp release, and with over 30 different liveries in the main range version, which includes private owner liveries and quite a few others beside. These are going to be bread and butter wagons for Rapido for many years to come, and it really does give a nice variety to what is available on the market. Big hello there, it's amazing to see you and I hope you are well. I'm Kirk, welcoming you up here to Weir Yard, and today we're taking a look at the all-new tooled range of 1907 Railway Clearinghouse wagons that's come through from Rapido Trains. And I know it does seem like every other video is the latest Rapido Trains release. They really are going hammer and tongs to fill all those little niches that we really need in the locomotive and rolling stock scenes ready to run. And for many years, pre-grouping modelers had been quite hard done by. We did eventually get those pretty locomotives, but a lot of manufacturers have just ignored what they're supposed to pull. And pre-grouping modelling is getting bigger and bigger. I think a lot of people, myself included, really do dig those really nice lined out Victorian and Edwardian era locomotives, coaches, and the really quite pretty private owner liveried wagons that used to run on Britain's railways. And these 1907 varieties, coming both 5-plank and 7-plank end-door tipping wagons, are going to be a welcome addition to add variety to any rolling stock fleet. Now, Rapido Trains have very kindly sent a couple over to the channel so we could get a good close look. So for those of you who haven't got your Monday Club wagon yet and already know what these wagons are like, here's a good close look at both the 5-plank and 7-plank end-door versions that are available from Rapido Trains. Today's video comes in association with Train-O-Matic, makers of DCT decoders and accessories that are designed by enthusiasts for enthusiasts. Find the full range available to order now at tramfabrique.co.uk. Additional support comes from...
This is Clark Railworks, and this is what we do. You'll know us from Ellis Clark Trains, and you'll get the same friendly expertise with us too. We've got a huge range of pre-owned model railways from all your favourite manufacturers, and maybe some you hadn't heard of before. It's the place to come for quality. We don't stock substandard models, and everything we sell is fully tested and photographed by model railway experts. No matter whether you model OO gauge, N, HO or more, we have sought after models from all around the world with new listings added every weekday. Check out what's available now at clarkrailworks.com and don't miss out on your latest loco.
It does feel at times like rolling stock is the Cinderella of the YouTube video review scene. So many YouTubers will review the big ticket items like locomotives, and a lot just don't bother with rolling stock, but it's really important. Your locomotives are nothing without anything to pull. So we always strive here to make sure that we feature the latest wagon releases as well. And a big thank you to Rapido for sending these over to make this video possible. But before we get into the nitty-gritty, I would like to ask a big favour. Please hit that like button, share this video, and also consider subscribing to the channel if you've not already done so, and ring that notification bell. You can check us out over on Patreon, and we've got the full merch store down below. But let's get on and check out the Rapido 1907 Railway Clearinghouse wagons. Are these going to be hero or zero? Well, let's take a closer look. One of the significant growth areas in our hobby at the moment is the pre-1923 or pre-grouping period, and this is normally in the era system denoted as era 2 or even era 1 if you go back far enough. And for many years manufacturers tended to shun away from this, and when they did start to dip their toe in the water of pre-1923, the models have proven to be very popular, and some of the most sought after models ready to run from the last 10 years have pretty much all been of pre-grouping prototypes, but in their original pre-grouping liveries. In terms of rolling stock, it's been a little bit of a barren wasteland, and whilst there have been wagons produced with pre-1923 railway company liveries and some of the pre-1923 private owner liveries, these have almost always tended to be actually printed onto a post-1923 designed wagon. So there would always be some inaccuracies that modellers would have to overlook to be able to model the pre-grouping period from ready-to-run wagons. But this is a huge gaping hole in the ready-to-run market that Rapido has now finally plugged when they announced their 1907 Railway Clearinghouse designed wagons. Now, the Railway Clearinghouse was an organisation that existed independent from the companies, from the railway companies, the private owners, which set things like mileage rates and also set down some standards which were then followed by both wagon builders and also railway companies alike, which set out specifications for things like wheelbases, capacities, design of the frames, coupling system, buffers, that kind of thing. And what I guess a lot of people do tend to overlook is that the 1907 designs actually persisted in use right through into the British Rail period, and it was only when British Railway started to have a major purge on wooden framed wagons that a lot of these started to disappear from the national network, although a number did persist as internal users and private owners within industrial complexes like mines and quarries and factories for a good deal longer. So really these were probably some of the most long-lasting of wagon designs. Rapido are producing these in 30 different liveries across 2 different styles. So we've got the 5-plank and the 7-plank with the end tipping door. And it should also be noted that the Monday Club wagon, which at the time of filming has sold out, so a huge thank you to everybody who supported that project, that is based on the 7-plank end door tipping variety. So Rapido has very kindly sent over a couple of examples for us to be able to have a good close look at here on the channel. And I'm going to open up the 5-plank variety first. We've got on the end of the box catalogue number 967006, although there is a bit of a misprint there. I think that's supposed to be RCH for Railway Clearinghouse rather than RHC. 1907 PO Wagon 5-plank open star bleaching number 11. And this is the side door variety. There's no end doors on these. And this has been sent over in the livery of Star Bleaching Company of Horwich. So fairly local to me, actually. Now, it must be noted that whilst it was quite common to see higher numbers on wagons, some companies would try and enter into an illusion that they were bigger than they really were by starting their wagon numbering at a much higher number. So this could well be the number 1 wagon. It may even have been the only wagon of Star Bleaching, but they've numbered it as number 11. And first impressions of this are actually that the colour rendition really is good. Now, the white lettering over the top of the background colour, this is something I have seen on other manufacturers' wagons in the past. Tends to suffer a little bit from bleed through if it's not done right, possibly with 2 passes rather than 1. But this has been done nice and crisp and sharp. We do appear to have a little bit of drop shadowing on some of these letters. It's quite subtle, a little bit of black just providing that drop shadowing, and actually that is really nicely done. The sign writing on this is crisp and sharp. We've got the number 11, the tare weight 6 tons, no hundredweight, and 2 quarter hundredweight, I believe that is. And then I actually really quite like these wagon builders plates. I think one of these will be the wagon builder's plate and the other will be a plate for allowing it to run over railway company metals. All of these private owner wagons would have had to have been registered with a mainline railway company. It doesn't mean that they would have been limited to only run on that network, but effectively that railway company, I guess, would keep the master records on paper about the wagon and ownership and what to do if the wagon needed repairs. The strapping on the sides there is picked out in black, really quite nice and crisp and sharp. The black is right where it needs to be, and we've got some nice crisp rivet detail, not just on these bands, but on the end staves as well. We've got the metal coupling hook on there. There's no actual chains, but they would have interfered anyway with the slimline tension locks, which you can see there. We've got quite a nice little system there, giving them quite a degree of movement with that flexible tail hidden away inside the wagon chassis. Now, the rest of the underside of this, if you don't want those couplings, they do unscrew from underneath the axles. It does mean that if you're going to be using things like 3-link couplings, you don't have to have any remnants of that slimline tension lock in the NEM pockets. The NEM pockets do also allow you to change these for something like, say, KDs if you wish. But that underframe detail really is quite sharp. Now, I must admit, I suppose they do it because they can. It's something that you're never really likely to see, but that is completely accurate to the design of the wagon, with these diagonal bracings into the corner, and you can even see the springing there for the buffers. Now, the buffers on these wagons are not sprung, but to be honest, don't need to be. They're really quite slender, and you can see there we've got the correct pattern shanks, and the heads on these feel like they're metal, and certainly nice and firmly in place. Looking again to the underside, we've got the split spoke wheels. These are really quite free running, and we've got the white wall tyres around there as well, which really does finish them off quite nicely. Brake rigging is correctly only on one side of the wagon. That was one of the quirks of the earlier wagons. They treated braking systems as rather a bit of a vagity. Unfortunately, there's no way of putting the brakes on from this side, and that was one of the deficiencies which was then corrected in the 1923 standard. But this is correctly presented with braking only on the one side. It is just a handbrake, but the actual metal loops are separate from the bars. This isn't just a one piece. It does look rather like we have got multiple pieces that go into this brake rigging, and I really do like what they've been able to achieve. There's a bit of a V shape on there, and I suspect that's a little bit down to the fact that we've got 00 wheel sets as opposed to EM or P4, but it potentially does give scope that for fine scale modelers you can bend these out and keep them lined up with any replacement wheel sets. The interior of the wagon is modelled with planking, and the colour of what would be bare wood is quite nicely realised. We've got a reasonable amount of detail of the inside of the wagon doors, and that's actually much better than I've seen on other manufacturers' releases. You can actually see that they are meant to be doors, and that is a welcome addition. Quite often the interior of wagons do feel like they've been modelled as an afterthought, but it's not the case with this particular wagon. And overall, that is a really quite nice, sharp release. And with over 30 different liveries in the main range version, which includes private owner liveries and railway company liveries, I've seen that both Great Central Railway and also Great Western Railway are included in the main range versions, but there's also a number of Southeastern and Chatham Railway versions that have been commissioned by the likes of Rails of Sheffield, and there's a whole slew of private owner wagons that I've seen commissioned, such as the Mogo wagon from Kernow Model Centre, and also we've got the Monday Club wagon as well, and quite a few others beside. Turning to the 7-plank wagon, this is catalogue number 967202, 7-plank wagon, open, Lunt number 724. Again, it says RHC, should say RCH, I believe. I'm going to get this out of the box, and I should show you the paperwork actually. Some lovely pictures there. You can see the S. Skinner of Melksham, Alfred Pratt pictured on there. We've got a little bit of a potted history of the wagons, including about the Railway Clearing House and the standards, and certainly this is quite enlightening material and shows the depth to which the research is done. Star bleaching features in here. We've also got the Harrison's Limited steam and gas coal. So there's some interesting information on the paper sheet in there. Getting it out of the box, again, this is a much more complex livery, the Lunt, with that diamond shape in black edged with white. This is really quite an eye-catching wagon. I have seen this livery done before by another manufacturer in the past, and certainly this really does knock it out of the park. We've got the red drop shadowing on the Lunt, with a black background, the white lozenge, and then the rest of the lettering picked out in white with a slight black drop shadowing, and it's really, really nicely done. This looks to be a 1907 wagon, which is in a post-1927 livery. So you can see there, empty to Kingsley Colliery, Birmingham, LMS. So this livery, whilst on a 1907 designed wagon, it should be noted is a post-1923 livery. But that's okay, because these wagons did persist for a very, very long time. But if you're a strict pre-grouping modeler, then you do need to take that into account if you want full prototypical accuracy. But if, like me, you really like the pretty liveries, just buy the ones that you think are really, really eye-catching, and certainly there are plenty of them. There's much more to this livery with the black strapping all picked out. We've got a crispness to that Lunt on there, and the lozenge itself, there's no bleed through or fuzziness. It's quite a complex livery. Again, with the lettering, we've got there, head office 25 Colmore Row, Birmingham. Really nicely done. And then we've got a slew of those wagon plates. I can't quite read them actually on the camera viewfinder, but I've got every faith that those are crisp and sharp even under close magnification. On the underside, this model again features the same style floor. We've got those slimline tension locks in NEM pockets. Again, we've got the split spoke wheels without the white wall tyres on this particular livery variant. Really, really quite free running, and we've also got the brake rigging on both sides. Now, I'm not 100% sure whether when these wagons would have been built to the 1907 design, whether they lacked the dual-sided brakes or whether this might have been a later addition, but certainly that is accurately modelled on this. This is in a post-1923 livery after all. You can see also here as well, I do like the leaves on the springs, really captured well. There's no fuzziness with that moulding, and there's a lot of crispness to those W irons. I don't know if they're metal, but they're certainly quite thin and very, very robust. It's also interesting to note, I can just see down there, that the wheels themselves, I'm just going to try and pull this out so I can show you, we do have metal bearing cups inside the W irons, which means that these will not only be an incredibly free running wagon, but will remain that way, and certainly that is a welcome development to this model. With the wheel set removed, you can see the mounting point on the coupling there, and that is a great boon to modelers who want rid of the NEM pocket. It can just quite easily be unscrewed and removed. Getting the wheel sets in and out is remarkably easy, and all in all, these are some great models from Rapido, and they will add some much needed variety to your wagon fleet and a whole slew of colourful private owner liveries. These are going to be bread and butter wagons for Rapido for many years to come, and I can see these being a regular yearly release, putting these out with lots of different private owner liveries, and it really does give a nice variety to what is available on the market. When it comes to running, those metal inserts that the ends of the axles run in make these incredibly free running. There's almost no rolling resistance to these, and they just keep on going. And certainly you will find that a rake of these on your layout will not tax even the smallest of locomotives. That means that we can have much longer trains without the locomotives slipping, and they'll be much lighter on maintenance, not needing so much oiling and not suffering any kind of wear as the ends of the axles might have otherwise slowly reamed out the W-iron axle boxes, which I have seen on higher mileage wagons from other manufacturers. All in all, they ran incredibly well around Weir Yard, taking in all the point work, the gradients, and everything else besides. There really was not a single problem with running with these wagons, and they'll be a great addition to anybody's fleet. So we turn now to the scores. First up is build quality, and quite frankly there just isn't anything of note to fault about these. They're really well put together, quite robust, and even things like the buffers are well put in, and I really do like this brake rigging. It's robust, but it's made up of multiple pieces just like the prototype. All in all, with nothing to fault, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. Next up is running quality, and this is an area where these wagons really shine. With low rolling resistance thanks to the bearings that are in the W axles as standard, it means that these are low maintenance, they don't need a lot of oil, and they really don't tax your locomotives. They ran through all the point work here on Weir Yard with no problems whatsoever, and I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. On DCC fitting and innovation, well, DCC fitting is not relevant, but innovation, it's not that these particularly bring a huge great deal new to the party, but certainly what they do put together is a package of very well thought out construction, decoration, and certainly this is a great wagon. One area where I might have some concern is the plastic tail that you can see on the couplings. My experience of this style with early 1980s Hornby wagons was that this plastic tail did have a habit of eventually fatiguing and breaking and causing the couplings to no longer self-center. It remains to be seen whether that might afflict these wagons, but certainly I'm not 100% convinced that that is the best form of fixing of these, although it does work out of the box. I do like the brake rigging with all of its separate parts, and it is pretty robust. I can't help but thinking that all of this extra detail underneath the floor level is a little bit wasted because from most viewing angles you would never see it. But again, we're splitting hairs. All in all, it's a great package, and I'm going to give it a 9.5. Next up is accuracy and quality of finish, and these wagons really are superb. Everything about them is just really well done. I like the choices of the colours on the paints. They've got that satiny finish just right. They don't look shiny or toy-like. They really do stand out. The quality of the printing really is crisp and sharp. And I really like these works plates down on the wagon's sole bar, which is a perfect representation of the wooden chassis that these wagons would typically be built from. Again, there's nothing to detract here. Even the interior of the wagon is done perfectly with a great choice for the bare wood, and we've even got the perfect representation of the interior of the wagon with those doors and everything else. So I'm going to give this the full 10 out of 10. When it comes to value for money, the RRP on these is just over £32, which does feel a little bit on the expensive side. But that is the direction that manufacturers are all going for, the rising costs of manufacture, and it has to be remembered that a lot goes into these wagons. No longer are we faced with a single piece moulded chunk of plastic with basic decoration. There is a lot more here, and these, rather than being a toy, are very firmly in the exquisite model camp. But it is something that I see time and time again, that budgets are getting squeezed. And I'm going to give this an 8.1. And that gives us a final overall score of 47.6, which is a really stellar performance for what is a great model that will very much fill a niche in a great many people's rolling stock fleet. And I look forward for many releases to come of these over the coming years, and I think that this is going to be a perennial classic from the Rapido range. Well, I hope you really enjoyed today's video and found it informative, and certainly I was really keen to see these because as of the time of filming this video, I still haven't physically had a Monday Club wagon in my hands. I know a lot of you guys have, and it's so great to see those photographs of them on your layout. So do keep sharing those on the Facebook group, and certainly I'd love to hear from you in the comments section down below what you think about these wagons. Maybe you've bought one of the other special commissions from various retailers, such as that Moga one from Kernow Model Centre, or the Southeastern and Chatham Railway triple packs from Rails of Sheffield. I know there's other manufacturers as well, and model rail clubs who have brought out their own special versions, and we always say do support all of those companies and individuals who've put a lot of investment into bringing you an amazing model. And certainly, I think personally, these are one of the best wagons that I've seen coming through from Rapido. The liveries are really crisp and sharp, and they do give a nice colourful view for your layout. But what do you think? Do leave a comment down below. And until next time, this is me, Jenny Kate, saying you take great care of yourself. Happy modelling. Bye for now. Today's video comes in association with Trainomatic, makers of DCC decoders and accessories that are designed by enthusiasts for enthusiasts. Find the full range available to order now at tramfabrique.co.uk. Additional support is provided by...
This is Clark Railworks, and this is what we do. You'll know us from Ellis Clark Trains, and you'll get the same friendly expertise with us too. We've got a huge range of pre-owned model railways from all your favourite manufacturers, and maybe some you hadn't heard of before. It's the place to come for quality. We don't stock substandard models, and everything we sell is fully tested and photographed by model railway experts. No matter whether you model double-O gauge, N, HO or more, we have sought after models from all around the world with new listings added every weekday. Check out what's available now at clarkrailworks.com and don't miss out on your latest logo.
I'd like to thank everybody over on Patreon, and an extra special huge thanks goes out to our Patreon heroes. Without you guys over on Patreon, we really wouldn't be able to keep making the video content that you see on this channel. And don't forget that you can also head on over to patreon.com/Jennifer Kirk and check out the different tiers of rewards. Thank you so much. You are absolute legends.